DC League of Super Pets is doggone. Look, this is the closest we're gonna get to another Justice League film, and why not? Because the live-action Justice League seems to be confusing themselves with the Legion of Doom. Yes, I am going to be talking about DC League of Super Pets, a movie that really does not need to be told, but we gotta get in some of that DC money, and we also gotta entertain the kids, right? So let's just talk about that. But before I go in on this, yes, I live in New York, but I am sporting a Red Sox hat while drinking out of my Fenway cup. That's good tea. And the reason I'm doing that is because, well, sad reason. Someone very important to our family, I won't get into it, had recently passed away. And this was actually his hat. So I promised I would actually wear this hat in this review. And it was nice going to see the Red Sox play. It's been decades for me since I've seen them. And I actually wore the hat to the game. And it really felt like I was bringing this family member with me in spirit to see the Red Sox one last time. Let's go back to the DC Super Pet movie, huh? Alright, so I'm going to be a bit objective here only because I never cared. I was aware of Superdog, Krypto. Even as a kid, I thought it was a silly gimmick. You gotta keep in mind, this was a character dog that was created back in many decades ago. Back when comic book writers were told to lighten up the characters and make them kid-friendly. Because even back then, they actually had super animals, but they were all Superman-powered animals. They didn't have their own unique powers. There was a friggin' super horse. But we're not talking about the comic books. That would be discussed if we were doing Anthonix Maximus reviews, but as Anthonix Maximus Matinee, I'm just talking to you about the movie. And as I mentioned, it's an okay movie. I was not super thrilled by it, honestly. Like, just kind of the same complaint I had about the Lightyear movie where it's become pretty much cookie cutter or paint by numbers when it comes to the writing and the characters themselves. It does open up on the whole nice storytelling of Krypton about to be blown up, and Jor-El and Lara are about to send off their kid Kal-El to Earth. Just, you know, your typical Superman story. And Krypto hops into the ship with them. Best friends since they were both babies. Well, baby and puppy. And that was actually a very emotional scene. You actually felt for the plight. But then it just immediately cuts to Krypto trying to wake up Superman. It's just a weird tonal shift. You know, you get like the sad, depressing explosion, baby Kal-El crying, confused. Krypto is trying to calm him down. And then cut 2 years later, adult Krypto trying to wake up Kal-El because he's a heavy sleeper, you see. It's your typical story of Superman and Lois finally taking their relationship to another step and Krypto being jealous of it, and he thinks he's gonna be replaced. He comes across a bunch of other animals he becomes friends with, and they save the day. That's the quick shorthand story of it. I'm telling this to you because I'm in the non-spoiler territory right now. I'll get to the spoiler stuff soon enough. Don't you worry about that. As lame as this movie is, you'll kind of wish you saw it because, man, I have plenty to say about that. And you do get to see the Justice League, and it's pretty much the same lineup as the live-action Justice League, except for it does include a Green Lantern. And of course, this is the Jessica Cruz Green Lantern because they're always shifting through different Green Lanterns. It doesn't seem very important for me to point that out now, but if you saw the movie, there's a reason why I pointed that out. So, if you haven't seen the movie, the plot is basically Superman and Krypto stops Lex Luthor from trying to to bring in an asteroid to harvest its power, which contains the orange kryptonite. And the bad guy is Lulu, the naked guinea pig of Lex Luthor. She gets her hands on the orange kryptonite that gives power, uses that to capture the Justice League, and now it's up to Krypto, the superdog, to gain the help of other super pets after they got their powers from the orange kryptonite. The jokes are okay. Alright, so of course, some of my complaints might be just me aging myself, just, you know, getting older and just can't really laugh at the same stuff as I used to anymore. But I understand. I was in a theater. There were a lot of kids. They were cracking up. They were cracking up at a lot of the jokes. And some of the mothers with them were cracking up just as much. Now, this is one of those things you have to wonder about. Do parents actually laugh at these movies because they think it's funny? Or do they actually laugh at the jokes because the kids are laughing and they're just kind of having fun for the kids' benefit? The jokes are what you expect. They're pretty much the poop and piss jokes. There is a turtle character in this film, and she's kind of like the same older lady character in Lightyear, where, you know, she's the old firecracker that just is old but still has her wits about her and just says random comments that are funny. What kind of was weird, though, is on a few occasions she cusses, but the film actually bleeps it out. Typically, when you see a movie, you don't hear a bleeping sound, but yeah, they actually bleep out curse words. Of course, they do it for the kids, but it's kind of like, why even have it at all? But I guess it's because the shock of the censored word being bleeped on a big screen. I guess that in itself is the comedy. I mean, I laughed, but that's because it was like a weird, okay, haha, type of laugh. Really, what the film had going for itself, though, was the voice acting. They got some talented voice actors. Dwayne Johnson as Krypto. They even had John Krasinski as Superman. And, you know, he has a great Superman voice. The two actors really played off each other very well. Keanu Reeves, the voice of Batman. Keanu Reeves himself as Batman was good. The lines he was given sucked. But you know, the problem is they gave Batman the same lines that he would have had in Lego Batman or, you know, the Lego movie. It's the same jokes that you get. You know, it's the whole, I am tortured, I work alone, I am the night, my parents are dead. The same jokes that we've heard over and over associated with Batman. It's kind of like, okay, come on. And sometimes the jokes are really out of place, too, for Batman. And I'm saying this now because it's kind of mentioned in the trailers, but it shows Superman and Krypto palling around, and it just cuts to Batman saying, I miss my parents. Like, why? I think that's all I'm gonna say for this segment. I'm gonna have to ask you, if you have not seen the movie, to just take off. And if you have seen the movie, stick around. And same to you if you haven't seen the movie but you like to get spoiled anyways. That's your warning, folks. People who don't want to get spoiled, come back to this point. Alright, so for the rest of you, as being part of the cool club that's gonna experience the spoiler, let's get to it. Yeah, the jokes I just thought were juvenile. I mean, that's all. I honestly did not like Kevin Hart being Bat-Hound, Ace the Bat-Hound. I know why they had him in it. It's because Kevin Hart is, well, he's Dwayne Johnson's friend. They work well off each other. In fact, I wouldn't even have a problem with him being the voice of Ace if it wasn't for the fact that, well, first of all, they got the dog kind of wrong, but I guess it's kind of a loose translation anyways. Usually Ace the Bat-Hound can vary from German Shepherd to, what kind of dog is that from Batman Beyond? A Great Dane, like a Black Great Dane. That was actually probably my first introduction to Ace the Bat Hound anyway. Then I began to see him in other iterations, the comic book. We even got to see him in the Krypto cartoon. Also, it is kind of weird that they gave Ace the Bat Hound a backstory that's similar to Jessie the cowgirl from Toy Story 2. Like, they gave him the whole abandoned dog treatment story. You know, the story of him being adopted by a family and their little baby was about to fall down the stairs, but he grabbed her with his mouth before she could fall, but the parents thought he was biting her, so they took him to a shelter instead. It's a sad story, but they had to really play that whole Toy Story 2 abandonment storyline. I personally like the story how Bruce came across Ace the Bat Hound in Batman Beyond, where he was actually a dog fighting dog. But it's a family film and we can't have that, so all the animals are in the same shelter. So when Lulu, the guinea pig of Lex Luthor, gets a hold of this orange kryptonite, which I don't recall that being an actual kryptonite. I know green kryptonite makes Superman weak. I know red kryptonite will actually make Superman kind of lose his inhibitions and just kind of do whatever he wants. And there are other kryptonites, one that will just drain his powers altogether. But an orange kryptonite, I don't know if that existed in the comics, but the orange kryptonite gives the animals their powers. It gives Lulu this, I don't know, like hovering powers. It makes her fly. It makes her have all these levitating abilities. And yeah, okay. And when it came to the super pet, they all had their typical one-off powers. And they even gave Ace the Bat Hound a power too. Ace the Bat Hound does not have powers. He's just a dog. Just like Batman. Batman don't have powers. He's just a man. And the other animals found at the shelter who get their powers kind of make sense, but they don't. Or it's just kind of lazy. As I mentioned, the actors who do the voices are big name actors and they do great work. Kate McKinnon as Lulu is probably my favorite of the non-main characters, I guess, of the side characters, because she just has fun with the character. Kate McKinnon is a fun actress. But you know, if they were really gonna go with an animal that belonged to Lex Luthor, they should have gone with the iguana lizard villain from the Krypto cartoon. I've only seen a couple episodes of that cartoon show. I could not stand it. But that's because it's not for me. But I did like the dynamic between her and Lex, because it did seem like they were on the same side, but they kept betraying each other. Lex got captured, so she became the villain, but her purpose was to get other guinea pigs to join her to save Lex from prison, only for Lex to betray her. And then she finally makes her way out of the prison and she goes after Lex. I like how they kept switching up on who the main bad guy was. The animal super pets themselves, aside from Krypto and Bat Hound, you had the turtle that I mentioned. She's a turtle, therefore her power is she can go fast instead of being slow. And then you had Chip, who had lightning powers. And don't worry, I'll get back to him on that one. And then you had a pig named PB, and the pig's ability is that she can grow really huge. Keith David as Dog L, because oh my god, they actually had to give Krypto his own Jor-El. It's Dog L, get it? But yeah, it's Keith David. I just discussed him in Nope. And then you had the character Whiskers. I don't really know where they were going with this. Whiskers is supposed to be this cute, adorable cat that Lulu frees from the shelter. I don't know which character Whiskers was supposed to be, because I'm also aware that there is a super cat named Streaky in the comics. That's like the cat version of Krypto. But in this film, Whiskers is a bad guy that can shoot missiles. When they finally get their act together and they save the Justice League, they start to get themselves paired off with the Justice League. And by the way, the Justice League designs are really awful. Like, they're just too over-the-top cartoonish. I get it, in like these animated movies, the jaws have to be gigantic and eyes have to be like weirdly bugged out, but it's just out of place when it comes to superheroes. It made sense to me the Fast Turtle would end up with the Flash, but also made sense that the Pig would end up with Wonder Woman. Yes, it does make sense because, and maybe I'm overthinking it, maybe that's not even the writer's intention, but I just remember a particular Justice League Unlimited episode where Wonder Woman got turned into a pig, and Batman went to Cersei's, and in order for Cersei's to actually help Batman, Batman had to go on stage and sing in front of people, which is totally out of place for Batman, but for that particular episode, it's because it was out of place and he was doing it for Wonder Woman that made it very special. I'm sorry I'm talking about Justice League Unlimited, and I veered away from this movie, but that's why I made the connection between the Pig and Wonder Woman. But the thing that really kind of shocked me, though, and I should have seen it I kind of should have seen it coming, but at the same time, not really. Chip, the squirrel that shoots lightning, is adopted by Green Lantern. And that's not how it happens in the comics. Oh my god, I just said that. Yep, I became that internet guy. I try not to do that. I try not to be like, that's not how it happened in the comics. Because movies are supposed to be different from the comics. They can only take in so much information from the comics to adapt it into a 2-hour or less film. But here's why, in this case, I have to say, that's not how it happened in the comics. Because, and I can't believe I did not pick up on this sooner in the film, but yes, there is a Green Lantern out there that looks like a squirrel, but only in the same way as Rocket Raccoon is actually a raccoon. Both these animal characters look like Earth animals, but they're not from Earth. They just happen to come from planets that have the same looking species. You know, they're just pretty much there to be cute and fight evil. And yeah, so there is a Green Lantern character named Chip, and it's actually spelled C-H'-P, not C-H-I-P. But in this version, Chip is actually a full-on squirrel, and I guess becomes a Green Lantern just because he becomes the pet of a Green Lantern, which that's not how that works, but again, kids movie, you don't really have the time to explain to a kid how things are broken down. You just want to tell a nice, happy, silly story. I think I covered everything I needed. I don't think there is anything else that I left because it's a simple story. Oh, alright, so Lulu gets defeated by the heroes and she just kind of lands in a hot dog cart just floating in with a bunch of hot dogs, and the dumb post-credit scene that they actually had, or the post-credit mid-credit scene, I can't remember which one it was, they had the audacity to have a scene of Superman talking to Black Adam, and Black Adam's dog is talking to Krypto, because get it, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is playing Black Adam. That's a movie coming out. We get screwed out of a Batgirl movie. The Flash movie is, at this point, a maybe. But, we're gonna get Black Adam, a guy that's supposed to be a villain, turned into an anti-hero now. Alright, let's go ahead and bring in our friends. If your non-spoiler friends walked out of the room to get a drink from the kitchen or something, tell them to come right back in. It's time to wrap this up right now. Welcome back. It's a simple movie, not much to overthink. It's entertaining. I would have waited to see it on HBO Max. It's really not a huge great thing to see, but if you have kids, then yes, bring them. You know, it'll quiet them down for a couple hours. You can treat the movie like it's their babysitter. The jokes are the same jokes that you would hear from the Lego movie or the Lego Batman movie. So on my rating, I would say this film is a 7 out of 10. Closer to a 6 than an 8. 7 out of 10. It's entertaining. You'll have a couple chuckles, but it's not a very well out story. The jokes, again, predictable. The plot's predictable as well. In some cases, kind of lazy too. But the voice actors are big name comedians and recognizable at that, so that alone is worth the cost of admission for a matinee show. But if for whatever reason you want to teach your kids the history of Krypto, the super dog, just have them watch Krypto, the cartoon show. They even have a nice Hanukkah episode. And, you know, if you really just want to watch a Superman-like dog, watch The Adventures of Super Pup. Yeah, it was a TV pilot. It happened. Anyways, I think I'm about done here. Sorry it took me so long to do this. It's just, what does one say about a movie this simple? Up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's... Wait for HBO Max.
Squeezy Bruce, fetch!
That better be a licensed toy or I will freak out.